Thank you, everybody. I wanted to say thank you to Tom Caldwell and Brendan Caldwell and the entire Urbana team for the opportunity to speak today. I look forward to sharing the progress that we have made since we were here the last year as we expand the utilization of our work productivity software for medical specialty clinics and pharmaceutical companies in the United States. Lyceum is on a positive trajectory. We are now seeing more patients. We have more medical clinics, more pharmaceutical companies using our software that is differentiated, and we are at an exciting point in our development. That's right. I wish I'd had that. I really do. So just a brief overview of Lyceum before I get into some of the details of the update. We are a technology company focused on the US market. As I mentioned, we have work productivity software, and that software is branded RxNexus. This software is used by specialty clinics and pharmaceutical companies in the United States to be able to get patients access to life-changing and very expensive medications. These medications are used for diseases that are complicated, like psoriasis and rheumatoid arthritis. And RxNexus makes it a lot easier because it generates the data and delivers the data to patients and to clinics to streamline the medication approval process. We remove the barriers. And we have key partnerships with a number of medical advisors and their affiliated institutions, which is allowing us to set up for a terrific 3-year growth profile. As many of us are aware, today there are tremendous advancements in medicine that help people with complicated therapeutic and disease areas. In the United States, they're particularly expensive. This is because health insurance processes that are involved to get access to these life-changing medications are overwhelming for everybody in the drug channel process. At Lyceum, we have made it our mission to address these issues at the clinic level so that people can get access to these high-quality treatments. One of the things I heard in the previous presentation was about management. We are really fortunate as an organization and worked hard to have a team of leaders who have worked in a number of organizations that include software as a service as well as in healthcare. And this means we have the expertise to execute on our strategies. So now I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to share with you a little bit about the context of the US market within which we work. As I mentioned, we focus on treatments that are expensive and life-changing. These are typically called biologics, specialty therapies. They are only prescribed in specialty clinics and they cost tens of thousands of dollars per patient per year. This market is growing at double digits and hundreds of billions of dollars are spent every single year in dispensing these products in the United States. But there's a bottleneck. And I'm going to give you an example in dermatology where we are currently focused on what happens during this process. So a dermatologist prescribes, for example, a biologic for somebody who has psoriasis. By the way, in psoriasis, about 2 million people a year experience this. It's a small percentage of the population, but a large number of individuals that have moderate to severe disease. The medical clinic's provider then turns to a medical assistant. And that medical assistant has to find forms that are up to date, of which there are many, one for the insurance company, one for the pharmaceutical company, and one for the pharmacy as well, in order to be able to get the patient access to this drug. Sometimes this is done by computer, but mostly it's done by hand. And once the forms are filled out, they're faxed. Then what happens after they're submitted? Everybody waits. And normally it's a delay, asking for more information. Meanwhile, the medical assistant, trying to keep track of all the patients that he or she is taking care of, sees more and more patients and tries to keep track of the paperwork that they've filled out in the past. This repeats itself as patients are switched from one therapy to another. And each year, no matter whether the patient stays on that drug or not, that same process continues to occur. And as a patient, you've got no visibility whatsoever to where you are in your drug approval process. For the medical practice, all of this time that's spent by these medical assistants is not reimbursable. And for pharmaceutical companies that have these life-changing but very expensive drugs, what ends up happening is they have programs to try to help bridge and provide financial assistance, but they cannot get that help to the patients that need it because they don't know which patients to help. And it's for this reason that both medical clinics, the providers that own those clinics and the institutions that own those clinics, as well as the pharmaceutical companies, are very receptive to the solutions that are going to help address these issues. So what does this look like day to day for medical clinics and pharmaceutical companies as it relates to how much they're spending on these particular types of services? For medical clinics, they pay tens of thousands of dollars to expensive, high-paid staff relative to the staff that they would otherwise have to pay to be able to coordinate biologics. They have call centers to try to reach patients, and per year they're spending $50,000 to $75,000 per employee, including benefits. This is now done across thousands of medical clinics, tens of thousands of providers, and leads to a massive amount, hundreds of millions of dollars of inefficiencies throughout the entire United States. Interestingly, today, what's happening is that there are super groups of medical practices that are now buying up and consolidating many practices in dermatology and specialties across the United States. And these groups are really looking at this expenditure and are very receptive to what offerings there are in the marketplace that are new to be able to address this. The CEOs and chief operating officers that I speak with are very receptive to reducing these costs. For pharmaceutical companies, they have these, what they call access hubs. These are groups that have hundreds of individuals working the phones to be able to reach clinics and patients to try to provide them help to get financial assistance to patients. It's a very inefficient way to do things, and oftentimes they can't reach them. And when that doesn't work, they send out field representatives. And these patient programs, the field representatives, these access hubs, each pharmaceutical company brand spends typically $50 to $200 million a year on these types of services, which are very labor intensive and inefficient. Rolling up to what this means in the market, across all specialties in the top left-hand corner, it's a bit of an eye chart, forgive me for that. This is our total available market, and this includes not just the biologics, the very expensive medications, but less expensive specialty products as well. Approximately 10% of all dispensed products in the United States roll up to about a $40 billion market in the drug channel to get patients access to drugs. What we can service within our focus of biologics is really equivalent to about $14 billion, and the planned offerings that we have and the offerings we have today can start to solve some of these inefficiencies. What we're focusing on in the near term really is inflammatory disease, starting in dermatology. And the reason we've done this is because the individuals that we have access to and the receptivity in this particular therapeutic and specialty is very, very high. So RxNexus, I'll talk about that very briefly now. What this does is it allows the pharmaceutical companies a much more efficient way in real time to access these clinics, provide them during their workflow the help that they need. Clinics now and patients can get the help that they need when they need it. And as you can probably imagine, when you're helping people day to day, they're very, very loyal and continue to use the products and our services on an ongoing basis. Core to our strategy from day one has been the medical advisory team that we have put together. They're very well-known individuals, and they have helped us improve our service, and they provided legitimacy based on their experience and their affiliations. So I'll tell you a little bit about the progress we've made over the course of the last year. On the pharmaceutical company side, we have our clients that are now using our platform to be able to help not only meet their needs and meet the needs of patients and clinics, but are fueling our growth as well. Looking to the market penetration, you can see we have contracted clinics and providers across the United States, And in progress, we have a terrific pipeline in both small group and large group practices. So let's talk a little bit about the growth progress that we've had over the course of the last year. We have grown not only number of practices, which means providers, but patients, which means pharmaceutical clients. We've got tripled, now, granted a small base, but a terrific number of practices that we've increased over the course of the last year, almost tripled the number of providers. Hundreds of providers are now using our service. These providers represent over 20,000 patients that we now are able to touch and help, and that means our pharmaceutical client modules have increased by over 2.5 times. And our customers are telling us they like what we do. They tell us we have competitive advantage. We're cutting edge, we save them time and money, and what happens is their patients and staff are happier, which reduces the amount of turnover they have. And of course, that means that they're excited to use our software platforms. So in conclusion, and the culmination of my presentation now, we have competitive advantage. And what we're doing is we're driving increased value through clinic utilization and through pharmaceutical company participation. And for that, we're growing the value of our organization and we're making a difference in patients' lives. Thank you very much.